You finally have $10,000, and the first thing you do is pull out your phone. You start searching. Best stocks to buy right now. How to invest $10,000. Top ETFs for beginners. You fall into a rabbit hole of YouTube videos, Reddit threads, and TikTok finance gurus telling you to buy this stock, this crypto, this fund, and I want you to stop right now, because here is the cold, hard truth that nobody in the finance space wants to say out loud, because it doesn't get clicks, it doesn't go viral, and it's not exciting enough for a thumbnail. Most people don't lose their first $10,000 on a bad investment. They lose it by starting in the wrong place. I'm going to show you exactly what I would do with $10,000 if I were starting from scratch today, knowing everything I know, and I promise you, some of this is going to make you uncomfortable. Some of it is going to sound like the most boring advice you've ever heard in your life. But boring is what works. Boring is what builds wealth. And by the end of this video, you are going to see money in a completely different way. Stay with me. This changes everything. The mistake everyone makes. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people. Both of them just got $10,000. Maybe it's a tax return. Maybe it's a bonus. Maybe they saved it up over 2 years, sacrificing weekends out and skipping vacations. Person A hears about a hot stock. They throw all $10,000 into it. The stock dips. They panic. They sell at a loss. $8,000 left. Then they put that into something else. Another dip. Another panic sell. 6 months later, they've got maybe $4,000 and a whole lot of frustration. Person B does something different, something slower, something that on the surface looks almost boring. They don't buy a single stock for the first 30 days. Instead, they get their financial house in order. They build a foundation. And then, when they do invest, they're investing from a position of strength, not desperation. 2 years later, Person B has $30,000. Person A is still wondering where their $10,000 went. The difference was not the investment. The difference was the order in which they did things. And that's what this entire video is about. Doing things in the right order. Step 1. Build the foundation first. Before I invest a single dollar of that $10,000, I am checking off a list. And I need you to take notes here because this is where most people quietly sabotage themselves. Number 1. The employer match. If you have a job that offers a retirement plan, a 401k, a 403b, anything like that, and your employer offers a match, and you are not taking that match, you are leaving free money on the table every single paycheck. Let me be very direct. That employer match is the single highest guaranteed return you will ever find in the history of investing. If your employer matches 50% of what you contribute, that is an instant 50% return. No stock, no ETF, no crypto will consistently give you that. So, before you do anything with that $10,000, make sure you are contributing enough to get every single dollar of that match. Period. Non-negotiable. Number 2. The written plan. Do you have a written plan for this $10,000? Not in your head, not a vague idea. A written plan. Because here is what I've learned. People who freestyle with money lose money. People who have a written plan, even a simple one on a napkin, make better decisions. Why? Because the plan slows you down. It forces you to think before you act. And acting without thinking is how $10,000 disappears in 3 months. Write it down. What is this money for? What do I want it to do? What's my timeline? What am I not going to do with this money? Write all of it down. Number 3, who are you listening to? This one might sting a little. Are you getting your financial advice from people who are actually winning with money? Or are you taking tips from your broke cousin who's always got an opinion but never has any savings? Are you listening to an influencer who makes money by selling you their investment course, not by actually investing? Listen to wise counsel. Seek out people who have done what you want to do. Read books by people who've actually built wealth. Surround yourself with financial thinking that actually produces results. Number 4, giving. Now this is the one that people never talk about in finance videos, and I'm going to say it anyway. If you are someone who gives to your church, to your community, to your family, decide right now up front before you do anything else, how much of this $10,000 you are going to give. Put it in the plan. Even if it's $500, even if it's $200. Decide intentionally, because if you don't decide up front, the money will find a way to be gone before you ever give anything. Generosity works best when it's planned, not when it's an afterthought. Number 5, the uncomfortable one. Debt and emergency funds. Here it is, the thing nobody wants to hear. If you have bad debt, personal loans, credit cards charging you 20% interest, high-interest car loans, that debt needs to be addressed before you invest in the stock market. I know. You want to invest. You've been dreaming about it. But here's the math. If you have a credit card charging you 22% interest, and you put $10,000 into an index fund that averages 8% returns, you are losing 14% every year. That is not wealth building. That is financial quicksand. And the emergency fund. Oh, the emergency fund. If you don't have one and your car breaks down, what are you going to do? You're going to pull money out of your investments at the worst possible time. You're going to sell when the market is down because you need the cash. And you will lock in losses every single time. A small emergency fund, even $1,500 to $3,000 in a simple savings account, protects everything else you're building. It's not exciting, but it is essential. Think about this for a second. Think about every dollar you've made in your entire working life, your salary, your side income, everything. Where is all of that money today? If you can't account for most of it, it's because of what we just talked about. No plan, no foundation, just money flowing in and flowing right back out. That stops today. Step 2. Give your money a job. Okay, let's say you've done step 1. You've got the basics covered. The debt is being attacked, the emergency fund exists, the employer match is secured. Now we move to step 2. And step 2 is this. Before you pick a single investment, you need to know what this $10,000 is supposed to do for you. This sounds simple. It is not simple. Most people skip it entirely. Money without a job will always find trouble. Money without intention can go anywhere, and usually goes nowhere good. So ask yourself, is this money for the next 2 years or the next 20? Is this supposed to grow into a retirement nest egg, or is this your down payment fund for a house in 3 years? Is this money you might need to access quickly, or can you lock it away and forget about it? Your answers to those questions change everything about what you should do with this $10,000. Everything. The right investment for a 20-year retirement account is completely different from the right move for money you need in 18 months. And now I want to bring up 2 paths that most finance videos completely ignore. Path 1. Investing in yourself. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in low income is low-paying skills. Let that land for a second. If you spent $10,000 on a certification, a course, a trade skill, or a professional credential that raised your annual income by $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, was that a bad investment? Absolutely not. That might be the best investment you ever make. I'm not talking about some flashy weekend seminar or an online guru selling you a $5,000 mastermind. I'm talking about a legitimate, proven, in-demand skill, a trade, a certification, a degree in something the market actually pays for, medical coding, cloud computing, electrical work, commercial driving, real skills, real income. Because here's the thing about increasing your income. Every extra dollar you earn becomes a new dollar you can invest, save, or use to attack debt. Increasing your income multiplies everything else you're doing. Path 2. Improving what you already own. If you already own real estate, a home, a rental property, a duplex, sometimes the best investment isn't in the stock market. Sometimes it's improving the asset you already have. A fresh renovation on a rental unit, new appliances, better curb appeal. In the right situations, $10,000 in improvements can increase your rental income by hundreds of dollars a month, year after year. That's an incredible return on investment that also builds equity in something you already own. Just something to think about before you default to buy an ETF and call it a day. Step 3. Now we invest. All right? Now we are here, the part you came for. Let's talk about actually investing this money And I want to be upfront. I am going to be boring on purpose, because boring works. And I would rather be boring and right than exciting and broke. The foundation of investing this $10,000 is allocation. When most people hear that word, allocation, their eyes glaze over. They think spreadsheets. They think Wall Street. Forget all that. Allocation simply means this. Don't put all your 10,000 in one place. Divide it into buckets, each with a different job. Bucket 1, growth. This is the money that you want to grow over time. For most people who are not professional investors, broad-based index funds or ETFs are the right move here. Why? Because when you buy a broad index fund, you are not betting on one company. You are buying a small slice of hundreds of companies all at once. You don't have to be right about Apple or Tesla or Amazon. You're just betting that the overall economy grows over time, which historically it has. This is where people who don't want to spend their life staring at stock charts find peace. You set it, you let it grow, you don't touch it. Bucket 2, stability. This is a smaller portion of the money, and it goes into more conservative investments, high-quality bonds, money market funds, things that don't grow as fast, but also don't fall off a cliff when the market gets ugly. Why does this matter? Because when the market drops, and it will drop at some point, it always does. Having this stable bucket means you don't have to panic. You're not watching your entire 10,000 evaporate. Some of it is protected, and that protection is what keeps you from making emotional decisions that destroy your long-term returns. Bucket 3, cash and flexibility. I know people get annoyed when someone says, keep some cash, but cash is not trash. Cash is options. Having a portion of this money in a high-yield savings account gives you flexibility. When a great opportunity shows up, a business idea, a real estate deal, a sale on something you need, you have dry powder. You don't have to sell investments at the wrong time to access it. Cash also does something deeply underrated. It keeps you from panic selling your investments during a downturn. When the market drops 20% and everyone is losing their mind, the person who has cash set aside doesn't have to touch their portfolio. They can sit back, stay calm, and even buy more while everything is on sale. Bonus bucket, precious metals. Now, I'm not saying go buy gold and silver because they're going to make you rich. That is not what I'm saying. I think of precious metals, gold and silver specifically, as insurance. It's not the main engine of this 10,000. It's the spare tire. It's the thing that holds some value when paper currency gets shaky, when inflation runs hot, when the world gets weird. A small slice, not a focus, just insurance. What about individual stocks? Here's my honest answer. With your first $10,000, probably not. Picking individual stocks requires research, patience, emotional discipline, and often luck. Most professional fund managers, people who do this full-time, cannot consistently beat the market. So the idea that you or I, investing in our spare time, are going to consistently pick winners, that's a hard case to make. The broad index fund approach is simpler, cheaper, more tax efficient, and for most people, more effective over the long run. Master the basics first. If you want to experiment with individual stocks later, after you've built a solid foundation, use money you can afford to learn with. The mindset shift that changes everything. I need you to hear this next part, because this is the part that separates the people who build wealth from the people who stay stuck. Most people want to walk into the gym of wealth and start with the most exciting exercise. They want to dunk, they want the alley-oop, they want to go viral with the windmill. But you know what wins basketball games? Dribbling, passing, playing defense, moving without the ball, the fundamentals, the boring stuff that nobody puts on a highlight reel. Money works exactly the same way. Everybody wants to start by investing, by picking stocks, by chasing the hot thing, and they want to do all the basic stuff last, the budgeting, the emergency fund, the debt payoff, the written plan. I'm telling you, do the stuff you want to do last first. Get the foundation solid, then invest, in that order. You know why some people make 6 figures and still live paycheck to paycheck? It's not because they don't make enough money. It's because they're doing things in the wrong order. They're investing before they've got a plan. They're buying stocks while credit card debt is eating them alive. They're putting money into a 401k while they have zero emergency fund and a panic-inducing car payment. Making money and managing money are two completely different skills, and most of us were never taught the second one. You can change that, starting with this $10,000, starting right now. Think about what it would mean 5 years from now if you took this 10,000 and did it right, not fast, not flashy, but right. In 5 years, you wouldn't just have more money. You would have habits. You would have a system. You would have the financial confidence that most people spend their entire lives never finding. And that is what turns $10,000 into $100,000 and $100,000 into $1 million. Not luck, not a hot stock tip, not a viral investment trend. Boring, consistent, intentional. That's the game. So let me bring it all home. Here is exactly what I would do with my first $10,000 in order. First, I would make sure I am getting every dollar of my employer's retirement match. Free money first, always. Second, I would write a plan for this money. On paper, with a purpose. Third, I would make sure I am listening to wise counsel, not noise. Fourth, I would decide on giving up front before the money gets too comfortable in my account. Fifth, I would attack any bad high-interest debt, and I would build a small emergency fund, at least $1,500 to $3,000 in cash I can access instantly. Then, and only then, I would ask, what is this money actually for? How long is the timeline? What is its job? Then I would consider whether investing in myself or improving an asset I already own might be a better move than the stock market right now. And if the stock market is the right answer, I would allocate across buckets: growth through index funds or broad ETFs, stability through bonds or money market, flexibility through a high-yield savings account, and maybe a small slice of insurance through precious metals. That is the system. That is the order. Look, if you've been doing money out of order, don't beat yourself up. Most of us were never taught this stuff. Nobody sat us down and walked us through it. We figured it out the hard way, one mistake at a time, but you don't have to keep doing it the hard way. Pause. If you got value from this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share it with someone who just got a tax return, a bonus, or a windfall and doesn't know what to do with it. Drop me a comment below and tell me, which step hit you the hardest? Which one are you going to go do first? And remember this, the best person who is ever going to take care of the old you is the young you, making the right decisions right now, with the money you have right now. Don't waste it. Don't rush it. Build it right. I'll see you in the next one.